Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Special welcome to all the folks that were just on the Global Investor Agent Team kickoff meeting. Started a couple of 3 hours ago, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, finished up an hour and a half ago. So tonight we're going to be talking about Airbnb as an exit strategy. So this is great if you're an investor, but it's also great if you're an agent who works with investors, obviously, which is what most of us are. Some more details to come here, but let me first just make sure everything is working on the technology side. Okay. Oops. Hello, everyone. So I just typed in the hello message. Let me check the attendees here. Hey, Archie, how you doing? Good to see you. From sunny Arizona. Hey, Archie, I can't remember. I know you were on the last week's webinar for residential assisted living, but the week before we went over something called an owner flip. It's where you help an owner who's potentially a senior, elderly, they've lived in the house a long time. Instead of them selling it at a low price and a flipper remodels and flips it for profit, we help the homeowner participate in that increased profit. So in any case, an interesting strategy. So it's the week before last week that we covered that. And last week was, of course, residential assisted living. And tonight is Airbnb. Okay, so let me just check and see who we got here. So Archie, Betty, good to see you. Chris, good to see you, man. David, always good to see you too. Carrie, Burrow, Lena, good to see you. All right. Hey, Lena, I can't remember if, Lena, did you make last week's webinar? If not, just make sure you get the recording. That's really, in your area, that's really big. In fact, it's probably bigger than Airbnb as far as potential. In fact, it's developmentally probably where Airbnb was like 10 years ago, okay? Melody, always good to see you too. Let's see, Chris Latham, good to see you, buddy. Chris, by the way, I sent the email over the weekend with a link to a video that obviously didn't work. So I resent that. Hopefully you got the resend on that. Susan Roberts, good to see you. All right. Tanya Relly. Oh, we got some. Willie. Okay, good to see you guys. So let me check the chat box here. Let's see. Shirley says, hi, y'all. Chris Latham, here, Gary. We can see and hear you. Thanks, Chris. Excuse me, Betty. Melanie, David. Okay, I think everybody is okay and all set. So for anybody who's relatively new, again, make sure, even though I know you're watching live here, it is being recorded. And please look for the email tomorrow from Beverly with the recording and any updates to the schedule. So the schedule for July has been put out, excuse me, established. So there will not be a webinar the week of June 29th through July 3rd. It's not that we don't want to do one, but the pattern we developed is we start with the first Monday of the month. So the first Monday in July is the 6th. And then it's the following Tuesday, the following Wednesday, the following Thursday. So July webinar dates are the 6th, the 14th, the 22nd, and the 30th, okay? So the week after next, you'll notice there'll be no webinar that week. It's Canada Day for any Canadians Day on July 1st, Wednesday, and then of course, July 4th, following Saturday, is American Independence Day. So in any case, look for stuff like that and any other system updates, platform updates, so forth and so on. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen on the checklist for this campaign. Let's see, share, and here we go. And I have also two websites up we're going to look at tonight that we use for Airbnb, AirDNA and MashVisor. This came out maybe 10 years ago, Airbnb. Actually, specifically, I think it was first piloted 12 years ago. And probably everybody on the call here has by now stayed at an Airbnb. And I'm not sure if Deborah Valier is on. Let me see if Deborah's on, because she is a student investor agent. She's one of our students in Florida, and she's doing Airbnb. Okay, let's see. Melanie's asking, are there notes or material for tonight's class that I should pull up to follow along? Yeah, Melanie, though, I had the checklist here. I created probably a month or so ago, and so you'll get this tomorrow from Beverly. Okay, so tonight I'll have it on share screen, and you'll get this in the email tomorrow. So, in any case, so back to this. A couple of things about Airbnb. Here's why I really like the strategy right now. I started liking it a lot in April when it became apparent that shelter at home was going to be longer than 30 days. Okay, now here we are, mid-June. We're in the third month of this, and I know that Canada and the U.S. just extended the border restriction for another month to July 22nd, restricting to essential travel only. So while I can cross the border, going both ways because I'm an American citizen and going through the process of being a Canadian resident, I can cross the border. But people going on vacation, no, you can't just cross the border. It has to be essential travel. So essential travel for me would be business, right? In any case, long story short, Airbnb, some of the folks in my mastermind group who have Airbnb right away lost all reservations, almost all of them completely. And in order to get back on track, they had to start lowering their rates to as much as half. So if they were getting, 400 a night, for example, they were lowering the rates to 200 a night. Now they're inching back up a little bit, and the occupancy is starting to pick back up again. But here's the deal. I'm pretty sure summer vacations are going to be curtailed in a large way. So would you agree that people that own Airbnb properties right now would maybe be more seriously willing to entertain selling their property? Okay. Well, I mean, the answer is probably yes, in a lot of cases. So what that means is it's opportunity time for investors. So just a little bit of mindset. Yes, certain people are going to be saying, well, why would I buy Airbnb when they're struggling right now? Well, the reason you buy right now is because there are people who are struggling, and it creates a buying opportunity, right? And by the way, this should be part of your logic when you're working with an investor. Like if they ask, why would I do Airbnb? Tell them that what I just said there, that exact thing, but also suggest that, you know what, this is not a permanent thing. This is a temporary thing. So buy now where you can get a good deal, and over a period of several months, hopefully things will be more closer to back to normal, and you can make some money. Okay, Shirley is yes. I have a friend who went to renting monthly. Yeah, so perfect example. So that person's alternative was they'd rather get some money coming in. Maybe they're only getting $1,000 a month rent, Shirley, where before they maybe would get $2,000 or $3,000 a month by renting nightly or weekly, right? So in any case, back to this. That's the opportunity. It's the age-old story. Wherever there's adversity, there's opportunity. And just like I've always said, in a recession, the money doesn't disappear, the properties don't disappear, they just change hands, and they go from one person to another. What's one person's loss is another person's gain, and it's part of our duty as a real estate agent to help that transaction go through successfully. Okay, and we earn a commission. All right, now a few things here. I said 12 years. It's actually about 13 years now when this thing started. Airbnbs in a lot of different cities and towns, 65,000 to be in fact. I thought I was doing pretty good traveling to 600 cities and towns in 5 years. 65,000 cities, that's a lot. Any case, there are certain things you have to look at before launching an Airbnb operation or helping your investor launch one. And the most important thing is zoning and occupancy, okay? You have to look at your local regulatory requirements for doing this. In other words, you're basically leasing a unit, which in most cases you can do. If you have a single family home, there's almost no neighborhoods that you can't rent that home in, okay? Yes, there are restrictions, like if you have a HOA or some type of planned community, like for senior housing, for example, they might not want you to sublet. So there are restrictions there, but I mean, for general purposes, what I'm talking about are more like the local codes, okay? So in any case, there's ways you can check that out. Check out legal and regulatory issues. You can actually go and call or email, or even just go online to your communities your municipal zoning board and also your occupancy office. There's two entities, zoning and occupancy are two different entities that they often work hand in hand. So for example, you may have zoning that allows you to do short-term rentals, okay? However, you may have occupancy that restricts who you can rent to no more than 4 people at a time, and then maybe they have to be related. This is right from the code. I'm just kind of ad-libbing here. So this is what I ran across when I started looking at this years ago. I found out there were properties I already owned that were zoned in the right zoning to allow me to do stuff like this. And some of them I was allowed to do because the occupancy allowed renting, like subletting rooms to unrelated people, which is critical. Where other properties, the occupancy restricted the rental to only related people. So if you had a 4-bedroom apartment, you can rent out the 4 bedrooms, but they all had to be related people, you know, brother, sister, parent, child, spouse, what have you. Okay. Whereas formerly what I was talking about is you could rent out to unrelated people. All right. That's what you're looking for. Now, something else to consider is this. This is what also I found out. There's what's called grandfathering. So if you had a property that's been broken up into, say, 3 units, and each unit has 3 bedrooms, and it's been that way for 65 years before occupancy was even an issue, and you had a history of renting the property being rented to non-related people, they would often grandfather that in, okay, and not make you comply with current occupancy codes. Now, one thing that will put the kibosh on that is if you go and do a major remodeling, right, where you've got to have code inspections like electrical, plumbing, and all that, they could choose to make the unit be brought into current occupancy codes as far as renting goes, okay? In any case, I'm getting off in the weeds here. I just want to tell you this. That's the first thing you look at, zoning and occupancy. Now, having said that, I do have colleagues between San Diego and LA that routinely rent out to Airbnb properties that are not properly zoned or don't have proper occupancy, but they're still willing to do that and pay the fine because the profits are so great, it far outweighs any potential fine they might pay. How about them apples? So in any case, so a couple things here. I'm also an Airbnb user. I've traveled quite a bit, and quite frankly, I just got tired of the hotels. I mean, I have a big Marriott account. I still got millions of points, and I do use it for like free vacations and stuff like that. But as much as I like, you know, JW Marriott and Ritz-Carlton and all that, there's a lot to be said for just being in a house in a neighborhood. It's just when you travel a lot, you know what I'm talking about. So what's really critical here is this. Destination, here's what people look for. This is what consumers look for. Where is the property? What are the dates of availability? What's the price? Number of rooms, bedrooms, washrooms. We call it washrooms here in Canada, or restrooms if you want to, or bathrooms in the States. Amenities such as breakfast, hot tub, pets. Does the host speak multiple languages? Facilities for parking and all that. These are some main key things that people look for. What I would tell you is this, and I'll get into more details here in a minute. The best Airbnb operations I've seen are where properties are in a destination area that is also a business area. So in other words, like Miami, obviously it's a destination area, but it's a big business hub too. So if you and your clients can locate a property that's an area like, well, back to the coast of California, there's a Lego museum, right, kind of near Carlsbad. So as you might imagine, Carlsbad is a pretty good little destination place. You have Airbnb there, you got hotels down on the beach and things like that. But because it's got the Lego museum, it's got the beach, and it's also a little business hub, and you're not too far from San Diego, Airbnb does quite well there, okay? So now if you're up in Detroit, and believe me, Detroit's got a lot of Airbnb, right? I've looked into it for investment purposes. it's a different, you've got Airbnb that will attract college students and parents of college students. You got Airbnb that will attract people coming into concerts and sporting events and things like that. And you've got Airbnb that's strictly for the business crowd. What I'm suggesting again, though, is if you can have 2 or more of those categories, like it's a destination area for vacationers and a business hub for business travelers, you've got yourself a winner. If you're also around, a major arena, sporting facility, concert facility, things like that, or a college, university, or even hospitals, by the way, those tend to do well too. So any combination of any 2 of those things are where you want to be. In any case, Airbnb also offers a lot of diversity. You've got little single efficiency places you can rent out through Airbnb. You got big giant beach homes you can rent out through Airbnb, the entire house, okay? And everywhere in between. I've stayed in condos, I've stayed in houses, I've stayed in some pretty amazing places actually. But it's a great alternative to people who just don't like hotels anymore, okay? And it's also another alternative to the BnB, the bed and breakfast business. Bed and breakfast is generally a little more, or say has a lot more amenities. They're providing food and meals and all kinds of stuff. Airbnb generally doesn't do that. However, I've stayed in some pretty nice places like on Cape Cod where they make some amazing meals and breakfast and lunch included. It's just crazy. So in any case, another thing is having guest services, okay? I'm not saying go crazy with this, but definitely 24/7 support. You could have these are Airbnb services, by the way, but you could offer like laundry. You could offer all kinds of stuff. Okay, you can offer food. You can offer breakfast. In any case, Airbnb is going to charge you fees. So they're going to charge you percentages of everything you do. All right. There's a booking fee, transaction fee. You're looking at potentially 15%. So the place I stayed at Cape Cod, that's what they were paying, 15%. Now they were getting a lot more than they would have gotten otherwise by doing a straight rental, but still 15% is a big chunk of money. Okay. Any case, back to this. Let's get into some specifics here. So if you're going to take this on as a marketing strategy, here's where you really want to start thinking as a realtor. Okay. Again, having a property in a desirable area that attracts business travelers and destination travelers, or better yet, both, that's where you want to be. Okay. So back to Deborah Valier, she's in Claremont, Florida, which is kind of west of Orlando and slightly to the north. So they're not that far from Orlando, where you got Disney World, Universal, you got a major airport on the other side of Orlando. Going to the west, you're maybe an hour from the beach. Okay. You can go west to north and do some swimming with the manatees. So great area. She's pretty smart for having that property in that area. Okay. In any case, again, favorable local laws and for zoning and occupancy. Your strategy works really good if you're in a high-priced area. That's why I like the Southern California coast. I know it's expensive. I know it's hard to find good investment properties for traditional rentals, but a lot of properties other folks might routinely walk away from, I would entertain and look at, because I would run the numbers for Airbnb, right? Or maybe VRBO, vacation rental by owner. In any case, back to this, preferably a year-round area. Again, like Florida, Southern California, people are going there all year round. People aren't going to Detroit in the wintertime. I mean, unless they live there or they work there. But most people aren't flying to Detroit in the wintertime. They're going to maybe go in the summer, then drive up and go to the lakes and cross over the border into Canada, all kinds of neat stuff you can do up there. Reasonably close to transportation. My rule of thumb is this: I don't want to be any more than a half hour from a major airport. There are exceptions if I'm in Southwest Florida. I know Fort Myers has a great little airport, down by, Marco Island, there's one there too, but really small, and it's more difficult to fly, like Key West. Love Key West, little airport, but you're always looking at a connection no matter where you go. So I want to be in an area where I can basically have a direct flight to wherever I want to go next. And most business travelers are the same way. Okay. In any case, you definitely want to have a team, again, not you, but your investor, and they may ask you about this, so you want to be able to give them some meaningful information. So having a manager, if your investor is a solo operator, they just have their own home, they're renting out a couple of rooms, they don't need a manager, they can manage themselves, okay? But if you have an investor who has multiple properties, this could be another potential business venture for you, all right? In other words, we have a lot of agents who get into property management, and I'm one of them. Okay, now whatever your license is, if you're, Remax, Century 21, or KW, most of my students historically have been Keller Williams. In my market center, I had to have a separate LLC, separate tax ID, separate broker of record, separate E&O policy. Although I know market centers in KW where the team leader owns a property management company, okay, or the OP does, or some combination. What I'm getting at is wherever you have your license, check with your broker and see what you're able to or not able to do, okay? Airbnb management falls within the general guideline of property management, but it's definitely different, okay? So in any case, for me personally, I'm okay right now, but if I had, say, 10 Airbnb properties, I would probably have a manager, right? Or if you have Airbnb properties in different geographic locations, Florida, California, Texas, whatever, you're definitely not going to be managing those things directly, so you need management in each location. Well, you as a realtor might be able to make some extra money doing this. In fact, I know people that do this, and they started their own business, and one of them is in Southern California, one of my mastermind members. Started this about 1.5 years ago, and it took off. So in any case, admin person, definitely want to have somebody that's going to take the phone calls, make the phone calls, keep up with the emails, just generally keep the paper flow flowing. Bookkeeper, separate role altogether, not your admin person. Bookkeeper should be a separate role, separate person. And my preference is to have somebody that you're contracting out to, and they use QuickBooks. Okay, it's just my own personal preference. QuickBooks, third-party person doing it that I pay a independent contractor fee to, because you don't want anybody internal also managing your books. Too much risk, and it's just not worth it. Okay, house cleaning or housekeeping, you definitely need to have that in place, because every time, just like a hotel, every time somebody leaves, you've got to go in, clean all the sheets, clean everything. Nowadays, particularly with all that's been happening in the last 3 months, can you imagine the stress or even the potential risk of someone moves out of an Airbnb unit or any hotel room, another person comes in the next day and they end up getting sick, right? Well, they're going to go back to the hotel, or in this case, go back to the Airbnb operator. So lots of potential risks there. So house cleaning, make that a third-party function. Handyman, definitely want to have a handyman. If you've got a handful of properties, you should definitely have a handyman, whether they're Airbnb or not. Somebody that's handy enough to handle light electrical and light plumbing, minor repairs, changing doorknobs, changing screens, painting, just all kinds of stuff, right? Anything that happens that's more of a major scale, like running a new circuit or replacing a toilet or a bathtub. In a lot of areas right now, you have to have a licensed plumber do that, okay? A lot of people don't realize that to replace a water tank, used to be anybody could do it. But now with all the codes, most municipalities require a licensed plumber to replace any water heater, right? In any case, so independent contractors would include electricians, plumbers, lawn care and or snow removal, pest control, definitely. If you've ever been to Florida, they have cockroaches that are the size of cars, okay, and alligators and snakes and all kinds of neat stuff, but it's a great place. I shouldn't say, I love Florida. Actually, my home base. Okay, flooring, you'd be surprised at the damage that can be done to flooring. So I don't like carpeting in kitchens and bathrooms and main living areas. I like hardwood floor and tile, really hard, dense tile. I might do carpeting in the bedrooms. In any case, laundry, definitely offer laundry, okay? So in any case, and also you need laundry to take care of your sheets and all that. So let me check the chat box because I just saw some chats coming in here. Let's see. Melanie says, yes, they do. I used to live there. Every place has its things, you know. You don't even like up in northern Michigan. If you ever been there before, guys, it is awesome. Northern Michigan is just flat out. It's surprisingly beautiful. Unfortunately, they got flies and mosquitoes the size of cars. Now, let's see, David Oates, just don't forget no state income tax. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, guys, in Florida, there's no state income tax, and that's why it's my home. Not, well, I shouldn't say that. One of the reasons it's my home base is because of that. In any case, by the way, real quick tip here for all the business owners or anybody wanting to set up an LLC. There are certain states have no state business tax. Delaware's one, everybody knows that, but also Wyoming is another one. And Wyoming has the most favorable business laws of all the 50 states. Not sure about Canada. Canada, we do things differently up here. You don't have LLCs. You have basically a corporation, and that's it. You can have a small corporation or a large corporation. In any case, but just quick tidbit here. I'll give you some of my insider secrets. What I do is I set up a LLC in Wyoming that's sort of like a blanket umbrella company. And if I do business in other states, I funnel the income to the Wyoming LLC. And then from there, I disperse salaries and expenses and things like that. Okay. And that's where I pull the profits from. So in any case, just a little bit of tidbit there. I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, so definitely check with your tax accountant or your attorney. And there's companies, there's a great group of guys in Georgia I like. Michael Smith and Richard, I can't remember his last name. If you're ever interested, just let me know. I've referred them to some of my other students who had trust work to be done, estate planning work to be done. And these guys are connected. They know everybody everywhere in the country. And that's where I started. That's where how they told me about Wyoming. And they hooked me up with a licensed attorney out there. So in any case, laundry, to do your own sheets and all that kind of stuff, but also provide a valuable service to your tenants, okay? All right, you will need to manage your bookings and respond to communications with potential renters, okay? If you do this as a service for your clients, or your clients need to know to do this. Arrange to meet guests and hand out and collect keys. That's a little bit of a challenge. I know larger operations have somebody that's on call in every area where they have Airbnb, and that's all they do. They're literally a runner. That's all they do. They run around, give keys, collect keys, all that kind of stuff. They have some really neat locks right now that you can use in lieu of keys, or you can have lock boxes to provide keys that are not real for lock boxes. They have a code, and every time there's a turnover with tenancy, the code changes. There's lots of things you can do there. In any case, you also make sure the property is thoroughly cleaned, prepared for arrival for the guests. Now, I point that out because I've had it happen before, only once. It was in Toronto, in a place I've stayed at before, different unit though. I walked into the unit, it was late at night, it was late, man, it was like 11:30, I was tired, and I had a 2-day mastermind session to start in the morning. And as soon as I get in there, I realized it just didn't seem like it was clean. I mean, the bed was made, but I pulled back the bed and the sheets were dirty, right? And then I go into the kitchen and there's like dishes piled up in the sink. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Beer cans everywhere. So 11:30 at night, I had a hard time getting hold of somebody. Well, they finally sent somebody to clean at 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? In any case, you definitely wanna have somebody in a larger operation be like a quality control person. Okay, next thing is somebody to handle property maintenance issues like pest control, plumbing, electrical, and appliance repairs. Generally, that's going to be your handyman, but somebody like an admin person taking the phone calls, that's a critical piece. That's a low-paying job. I mean, literally 15 bucks an hour, and they can manage all the phone calls for maintenance and repairs, incoming and outgoing. Okay, additional costs. There is a good bit of overhead, okay? In most places now, you're going to have a business license. Okay, I'm going to kind of jump around here. In most places, you'll have to have a business license unless you're a solopreneur, you're owner, provider, owner, operator, that kind of thing. You can probably get away with or not be required to have a license. But if you're doing 2 or more properties, I can pretty much assure you, if it's not already happening in your area, before long you'll have to have a business license to do this. Okay, not a big deal. It's a formality. All right, insurance. as you might imagine, you're going to have proper homeowners insurance that allows you to do subletting, okay? And also you should require any long-term guests to have a renter's policy, long-term being 30 days or more. Now, having said that, there are some municipalities where the occupancy code says like 30 days is a cutoff. If you're 30 days or less, they treat you, you fall under hotel motel laws. If you're more than 30 days, you fall under the Landlord Tenant Act of 1957. All right, so back to this, that's going to have a big impact on your insurance. So most homeowners insurance for anything that's being rented out does not cover tenant properties and belongings. It only covers the owner's building and owner's belongings, but not the tenant. So in any case, also you need to make sure your insurer will insure this type of an operation because it's technically a commercial operation, okay? Again, solopreneur, owner, provider, owner, operator, generally you're okay with basic homeowners policy, especially if you live there, all right? In any case, so insurance, business license, cleaning and repair, this is going to be the most common physical activity that somebody's got to manage. And it's going to, it's a constant cost, cleaning, painting, repairing, constant, never ends. Okay, now let me do a quick check on the chats because I saw some come in and then we'll get back to the, okay, let's see, Melanie, can you repeat what you just said? And yes, I do want their names. Okay, so Melanie, what I learned to do, is first part of my life, I got really excited about, building the empire, having all the properties and businesses and all that. But I didn't really know a lot about estate protection and trust planning and things like that. So a lot of the properties I had in my own name, which is, it's okay to have one or two, but not 20, right? So I realized I got to set up LLCs that owns the properties. And then I started setting up businesses, and I would set up LLCs to run the businesses, mainly Pennsylvania and Virginia. And went through some major life-changing events and realized that even though I thought I was being smart, I had all these companies and businesses, I was woefully unprepared. And as you might imagine, the lawyers are the ones that won and all that stuff. Divorce, broken back, whole 9 yards. So coming out of that, I managed to walk away with knowledge and common sense and desire to go out and do it all over again. All right, and I had enough capital and enough. I still had two of my businesses and a couple of properties and my truck and my dog. So in any case, went to a mastermind group in a little town called Cummings, Georgia, and there was 4 ministers, 4 attorneys. This sounds like the beginning of a good joke, Melanie. But 4 ministers, 4 attorneys, a dream analyzer, whatever, a nurse, a photographer, and me. I was the only real estate person there. So the guy that ran it, a guy named Casey Graham, former minister, awesome dude. And by the way, in Cumming, Georgia, are 3 of the most influential people in my life, and no, they're not related at all. They don't know each other, and they're all in the same town. Go figure that. In any case, the 2 of the attorneys were partners, and I listened to what they were doing, and I said, I'd like to work with you guys. I mean, I just like their style. They weren't like typical attorneys. They were like your friends. And so I started doing business with them. And one of the guys in Cumming, I referred to them to do his estate work. In any case, they're the ones that turned me on to all this. I did a lot of studying and learning. It turns out Wyoming is the place to have set up an LLC, to incorporate in Wyoming, because it has very favorable business laws. It also has no state business tax. So if you think about it, Melanie, I live in Florida. I have no personal state tax. My business is run out of Wyoming. I have no state business tax. So I'm really only required to pay federal tax. And it's perfectly legal. It's perfectly legit. So in any case, that's what I was describing earlier. What you could do, Melanie, is there's something called a series LLC. It's just a new term for something we've been doing for years. So you have like your umbrella LLC in Wyoming, and then you could have other LLCs wherever you own property. You should have an LLC in that state, okay? And then the LLC that owns the property in that state, say Michigan, the money flows through that entity into the mother entity in Wyoming, and the mother entity does all the dispersing, right? Salaries, expenses, and things like that, and of course profit. So that's really the structure. Now, I'll just give you a little more inside intelligence here. I also have what's called an asset protection trust. It's out of Nevada, called the Nevada Asset Protection Trust. So anything that does basically end up being private or personal ownership, actually put in the trust. So I actually don't really own anything. And what I like about an asset protection trust, it is technically an irrevocable trust, but it allows you, the person who created the trust, some degree of control that's still legal, and you still can control some factors and some activity, and you still get the benefit of it being protection of being an irrevocable trust. So that's the easy way to do things. You can do offshore banking, things like that. I know two guys I know, their colleagues have moved to Dominican Republic to avoid all the taxes, and because they make so much money. I personally, I want to stay where I am. You know, I love this country. I love U.S. and Canada both. And I don't want to do anything that requires me to give up my citizenship or anything like that. So short of that, what I just described to you is the basic program. And what I'll do, Melanie, is if you could do me a favor, Melanie, shoot me an email to remind me, and I'll get you Michael's and Richard's contact information. They're really, really good. They'll give you a consultation, and they'll probably know somebody in Texas that you can talk to there. Because an attorney has to be licensed in the state where their work is being done. But they just know their stuff, and they're pretty well connected. Okay, so let's see, that was Melanie. Shika, hi Shika. How much is the property tax in Florida? We have no state tax in Texas, but our property taxes are higher. So in Florida, a lot of it depends on where you are. So there's, I don't know the state rate, and I don't know any local rate particularly because there's so many different municipalities. But what you can do, Shika, is you can actually Google that. Or we've got some Floridians on the line here. So I don't know if David's on the line or Deborah. Let's see who's on tonight from Florida. Hang on one second. Let's see. Willie's from Florida. Let's see. Shannon, Chris, Mo, Louie, Carrie, Doug. Doug Campbell's from Florida. David Edwards is on. Chris Roden. So last one. So Doug. Hey Doug, if you wouldn't mind, in Florida, property tax, if you could give me an idea, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the county level, and then you probably have like a state rate too. Can you confirm that, Doug? Just type in the chat box. Let me open up the chat box. Sorry, let me do that. Sorry, and let me know that if you know what your rate is, or David, either one, David or Doug, that would be awesome. Surely, by the way, guys, Shika has a piece of property in Houston that's everything's all set. It's already got its zoning set up for commercial operations like residential assisted living, by the way. So there was an email that Beverly sent out the other week when Paul had the system down for they were upgrading to another version of the community site. So Shika had a property to put out there, and Beverly sent an email blast out because we couldn't put it on the online system. So yeah, if you're interested, if you know somebody interested in developing, I think you should look at that property, because I looked at it and it's really like $500,000 below appraisal value. So let's see. Okay, good. Thanks, guys, for doing that. So back to this. Let me go back to the last question. Make sure I got Melanie taken care of. Yeah, Betty says, saying depends on the property and the area. David Edwards, a Florida average real estate tax rate is 0.98. Thanks, David. Yeah. Lene, I forgot Lene's in Florida. That's right. Hey, Lene. So you got lots of Floridians on the line here. Oh, Shannon's asking, is your trust the master trust that was presented in one of your prior webinars? No, the trust is actually a separate thing, Shannon. So actually, my trust and my LLCs are completely different entities. And you got to be careful, because a lot of people be tempted to say, well, you know what? I'll just own my LLCs inside the trust. And I didn't do this, but I was considering that, and I talked to Michael and Richard and said, don't do that, because what happens then, a trust is like its own entity, right? And if you put business entities in underneath it, and there's a lawsuit, even though it's technically an irrevocable LLC, the fact is if there's a lawsuit inside a business, they could potentially attach the other assets inside the trust. So think of trust, Shannon, as protecting your personal stuff, and Wyoming LLC is your business stuff. Okay. Now, if there's any connection at all, it's only this. You can have profits. You can have certain dividend payments come from an LLC to the trust. You can do that, but that's not a direct connection. It's an indirect connection. And then the only thing they could potentially say is, well, you know what? You're a beneficiary of the trust. There's dividends coming from your business to the trust. Therefore, we're going to attach your dividends that went to the trust. They could do something like that, but they can't. You're still fundamentally protected. Your assets are protected. Great question, by the way. Okay, now let's go back here. We kind of got off track here for a bit. Let's see, Santa Rosa, Doug. I don't know rates for sure. We don't make a bad guess. They're county, municipal rates. That's what I thought, state, county, and municipal. Okay, guys, so back to this. Where was I? Here we go. Basic strategies. An owner can own the property, obviously, and lease the property to an operator. This is one of the most common things right now. So an Airbnb company, like a separate little operational company that does not own any real estate, can lease under a master lease a property from an owner, and with the right to sublet. So in other words, let's say Shannon owns a nice 4-bedroom, beautiful oceanfront property down in what's the area, Shannon, down on the coast? North. You kind of go around the coast from Long Beach up towards not all the way up to like Inglewood, but Terrania, I think, or something like that. Man, I stayed out there, Shannon. That was awesome. I love that place. Terrania. Let's say Malibu. Shannon's going to live in Malibu. All right. And she's going to travel Europe for a year. I could come along and I could lease Shannon's property under a master lease for, say, $5,000 a month. Okay. And then in the lease, I have the right to sublet the property room by rooms. Okay. So then I can get in a contract with Airbnb to use their services to advertise and all that. Lease out the individual bedrooms. I collect all the rents, right? Less the Airbnb fees. And every month I've got to send $5,000 to Shannon. Okay. So that's one way to do it. Oh, sorry. We got a quick, from Doug. Thanks, Doug. Each county has a different property tax rate. Palm Beach, 1.12%, Pinellas, 0.96%. Yeah, so Shika, that's what I thought. It's going to be, it depends on where the property is and the type of property. So, any case, thanks guys for sharing that. Okay, another possibility is this. The owner themselves operates the Airbnb by using Airbnb services, okay? Now, the third option is this. Let's say you're working with investors. They could either lease the property out under a master lease, and you get a commission based on that master lease, or an owner is going to buy a property and you facilitate that transaction. You get the listing side, potentially the buyer side too. Okay. The third option is this. Let's say you bring together a group of investors and they do a joint venture. Okay. They would set up an LLC, and you're not going to do this as a realtor. This is what they're going to do. They'll set up an LLC. It's formed as a partnership. You can have equity partners. You can have profit sharing partners. You can have private lenders. So a private lender would lend money to the LLC and in return get a interest payment on their principal. Okay. An equity partner is actually part owner of the LLC. They own 10%, 20%, so forth and so on. They're like a true partner. Another potential is somebody who just gets profit sharing. So They don't, they contribute, they put in, say, 10%, 10,000, let's say $100,000 on $1 million purchase. But it's in lieu of getting an interest payment, they want to share profits. So this happens a lot in commercial leasing. An owner, a landlord, would want to have a share of profits from the business in lieu of rent or in addition to rent. So you might have a base rent. So in other words, in this third scenario, somebody could put in $10,000 and want a certain percentage return, like an interest payment, and a share of profits, or a combination thereof. Okay, you can combine all. You can get interest payments. You can be an equity partner, and you can get profit share. It depends on your arrangement. But what I'm saying is, it can be one or any two or all three of those. And what you're doing is you're representing the LLC that's going to actually buy the property, and you get the commission there. So in any case, there are 3 ways for your investors and 3 possible ways for you to succeed and profit yourself. Okay, now keys to success. Some of this we kind of covered, but really you want to look at where you are geographically first. You know, country, state or province, town, neighborhood, all right? Then you want to look at your target demographic, okay? Not just for your investor, but who's the ultimate person, the end user, destination traveler, business traveler, or both, okay? Marketing is a key. In other words, Airbnb makes it easy because everybody goes to Airbnb. But did you know that Airbnb also markets through other entities like Expedia, right? VRBO. Like you'll sometimes think you're renting from one entity, only to find out you're actually renting through another entity, and they just basically did like a partnership agreement, right? Or they advertise to get an advertising fee for advertising your Airbnb. In any case, obviously zoning and occupancy is important, and you're having your systems in place. Now, what I want to do, guys, at this point, I want to take a quick little pause here and show you a couple of tools you can use to help you and your investor determine if an area is a good area, right? So let's look at AirDNA. So I want you to please write this in your notes or do a screenshot. Now this is showing me airdna.co, okay? There's Mash, I'll show you Mashvisor next. Mashvisor has Canada, has US and all that. In any case, there's lots, you can get a free, I think a free 30-day look on this. I've already done it, so I'm going to be limited as far as what I'm able to show you here. But in any case, here's something I call Market Minder, all right? Select city or neighborhood. So let's select, what do we say, Carlsbad? Let's select Carlsbad, California, all right? Hit the little enter key there and see what pops up. Okay, it's still spinning its wheels. But what I like about this, it gives you the average daily rate for the area. So I typed in Carlsbad. Average daily rate's $277 per night, not too shabby, all right? And you can see, this must be last year's data. It went from July 321, oh, this is historical, I'm sorry, to February 224. Occupancy, our average is 65%, higher in the summer, lower in the winter. But what's interesting, in most areas, you're only looking at about 37% occupancy. But 37%, if a room is rented out 30% of the time, 1 every 3 nights, because of the increased rates per night versus a monthly rate, if you rent a place out, generally speaking, 1/3 of the time, it will still outperform a traditional rental, okay? Revenue, $3,700, not too shabby. So let's just look at some rates. We can, oops, this will hopefully just let me do this. Maybe not. Ooh, market insights. Let me, let's just click on the next 1 through 4 and see what comes up. So here's all the properties that are there now, right? Carlsbad area. There's Oceanside, one of my favorite areas. Any case, next section 3 of 4, analyzing the address, okay, called rentalizer. So let's do that. Wonder if it's gonna let me do that. I might try something here, guys. I just don't want to get caught up in going down a rabbit hole. What I'm getting is if I was still in the free world here, or I'm getting my free 30-day view, I could type in a property and do a quick check on what Airbnb thought of it, okay? Rental type, entire home, private room, okay, let's see, VRBO is 30% of the rental channel, look at that. Airbnb is 42%. Rental size, rental growth, amenities, there's all the amenities you can see. If you have these amenities, you do better than if you don't have the amenities. Let's see, Airbnb ratings, that's just a lot of statistics there. Any case, let me see over here. Overview, occupancy rates, revenue. Okay, so these are all locked. I'm not going to be able to do that. Let me just try one just to see. Yeah, it's going to make me jump through some hoops there. I want to go back to one more thing, and I'll show you this, and I'll move to Mashvisor. Airbnb is probably the most popular tool for analyzing rentals. Here's Investment Explorer. Okay, let's click on that. Launch Investment Explorer. See, so in case I'm not going to be able to do this, I just want to show you this is an awesome tool. Okay, let's go to Mashvisor. Here it is. All right, so it's MASH Visor VISOR. Let me just put this in your chat box here. I should have done that with AirDNA too. So I'm going to put this in your chat box. Hang on one second. This is another really, really good analysis tool, mashvisor.com. Let me go back to AirDNA and I'll give that to you. Easy to remember, but I just want to make sure you actually have it. So there's the AirDNA one, okay? All right, now let's go back to Mashvisor, see if it lets me do any free stuff here. Let's see, step-by-step tips for using real estate analytics, excuse me. Subscribe to our newsletter to get the latest in real estate investing. So let me give him my old email, BnB at, this is where all my junk goes, subscribe now. So maybe if I subscribe, I'll get a free look here. So let's type in Carlsbad again. All right, Carlsbad, California, and start analyzing and see what pops up. I suggest use both of these tools at first. Try not to, it's gonna, sorry guys, it's gonna make me log in. I don't want to get into all that. Sign up with Google. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Or email. I don't do all that because it'll, yeah. All right. In any case, you can see in the background, it gives you some similar information, but in a different format. There's different things I like about Mashvisor. If you look over here, oh, sorry, I should need to do share screen. Hang on one second. Share screen on that one, okay? All right, over here to the right, cash on cash return through Airbnb and traditional. Traditionally, you would have got a 3.77% cash on cash return on a property on Paseo Verde. If you did Airbnb, it'd be to 5.5%, okay? And they have cap rates as the same, which I don't agree with because cap rate is not the same as cash on cash return. But in any case, they're very conservative. They assume a one-third occupancy, excuse me. In any case, if you want to try it on your own, I would try it because you can get a free look at this for like 30 days or something. Melanie says, what do you consider good for cash on cash returns? So Melanie, for me, I'm looking at minimum cash on cash return of 20%. So in other words, if I buy a property for $1 million and I put down, say, 200,000, okay, 20% down, finance 800,000. Of the 200,000 down, that means I'd like to see $40,000 cash in my pocket on an annual basis, okay, which is 20%. Now, that cash on cash return accounts for debt service. So that means after I paid expenses and paid my debt service, I got 40,000 in my pocket on an annual basis, okay? I have to pay taxes out of that. So cash on cash return, you can manipulate and you can massage and have more influence over than cap rate. cap rate is generally fixed for an area, and there's some variability within the individual properties. But cap rate, you really can't adjust that much because it doesn't account for debt service. Cap rate is simply your net operating income, which is gross receipts minus expenses, non-debt expenses, right? And you take that resulting net operating income and divide it by the total purchase price, where cash on cash return takes the NOI, net operating income, then deducts the debt service, and what's left is your cash return, which you only divide it by what you put into the property, your cash into the property, i.e. Down payment, okay? So that's why you can adjust the down payment, you can adjust an interest rate, you can adjust the term on financing. You'd have a greater influence on cash return. So this here, I don't agree with this 5.5%, but again, Nash Pfizer is historically very conservative, but that's probably good when we're dealing with investors. So you want to like under promise and over deliver, right? Okay, let's go back here to the chat box. Melanie, what do you consider a good cash on cash return? Oh, perfect. Thanks, you, Melanie. Thanks, Melanie. All right, so let's go back to the checklist area. Important factors. Again, subject properties should be in areas attractive to business travelers and vacation travelers. I would suggest make it ADA compliant. The reason is they're harder to find and you can command a higher rent for ADA compliant properties. Okay. Need to verify zoning and occupancy. We talked about that. Make it nice. The nicer, the better. I'm telling you guys, people will pay for it. People will pay for upper middle class, higher end, even luxury places. And in most cases, some people are just flat out, they just need to have very affordable places. But I can tell you, most business travelers, they know they can get a better deal from you on a nicer place with a deck and a patio and a boat outside than going to a hotel. Let's see, generally your income's about 2.5 times for more than basic standard rental income. Short-term leases, usually no more than 7 days, right? That's what they recommend. Okay, let's go back here to the chat box as we're getting ready to wrap things up. If you hear some meowing in the background, that's Ollie the magic cat. Okay, so this is, hey Helen, haven't seen you for a while, good to see you. My screen is and has been blocked by some non-responsive pop-up window asking me to sign up for Mass Browser with G+, and I can't seem to get rid of it. Let me just make sure this is being shared here. Hang on one second. All right, so Helen, did that take care of it? I just did a reshare on the checklist here. Yeah, so let me know if that worked, Helen. That would be, oh, good, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Back to the next question. Can you share documents? I did that. Not seeing checklists. Thanks. Okay, good. All right, I think we're pretty much done. All this stuff down here, I'll just give you an example, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so let's say you've got a potential property that might look good for Airbnb investment for your client. Let's say it's a $500,000 purchase. They put down 20%, which is $100,000. They finance $400,000. The average rent per room is $150 per night, 4 bedrooms and 2+ bathrooms. So 4 bedrooms, that's $600 a night, times 30 nights is $1,800 bucks. Okay, now, you're not going to have all $1,800 coming in every single month. Monthly expenses about $4 grand. Okay, net income is $14,000. You're going to pay your mortgage about $4,000. Net profits about $10,000. So you got some cushion there. And if the same house would have rented typically for $2,000 a month, you can see you're ahead of the game by a factor of 4, factor of 5. So in any case, you can see why this is such a great strategy for people. A couple of steps to follow. First, use AirDNA and Mash Pfizer to determine the suitability for a property in a particular area. Hire a virtual assistant to scrape Craigslist and Kijiji ads, Green Sheet, Penny Saver, looking for rentals. This is for you to do as a realtor, looking for traditional rentals in an area that might be a good Airbnb area, okay? And then you get the property listed, sell it to your investors who turn it into Airbnb. Present the strategy to your investors, obviously, and determine and document your goals. In any case, that's pretty much it. Obviously the rest is basic. You determine the neighborhoods, use a template letter, that you get in your marketing material. Also look for case studies. It's easy to do. If you set up Airbnb, excuse me, AirDNA or MassRogers, you can get samples of properties and use them as case studies. Always get testimonials. Always do your marketing at least 12 times. And that's pretty much it. Okay, let me check the chat box here because I think we cleared those off. Okay, I think we're pretty much done, guys. All right, guys, I think that's it. Sure, I know we're just right on time at 8 o'clock. I thought this would be a faster one, but these extra strategies, the last three we've done, you know, owner, flip, residential assisted living, and Airbnb are all three very timely right now, particularly Airbnb and residential assisted living. Go back and look at the prior recordings and you can get the checklist for those also. In the meantime, just keep me posted on where you are. So let's see, where will we have these documents list available somewhere? So Helen, yeah, you're going to get these tomorrow from Beverly in an email, okay? Also next week, what I want to do, guys, is I want to go over 2 closing strategies that have worked really well for me over the years. One is for when you're out with buyers, helping them actually narrow down and focus and make an offer on one of the 6 properties they saw. I call it the tailgate close. I'll show you that. And another one we use on listings. Whenever you have a difficult seller who thinks their property is worth, you know, twice what it really is, or they're interviewing other agents and you're competing, it's a great strategy to overcome all those potential roadblocks. So I'll try to get both of those in next week, which is going to be next Thursday. One buyer close, one seller close. That really should help you get a lot more people to the table more quickly. Okay, it's one of the hallmark signs of a great agent is being able to bring people to the table and make that close. And I'm going to show you 2 awesome techniques to do that. So, okay, guys, Ali is very talkative. He is surely he wants out in the worst way. So I'm going to go take a walk here and try to get him on a leash. Have you ever seen a cat on a collar and a leash? Well, I'll see if I can take a picture for you. Okay, guys, have a wonderful night, a good rest of the week. I'll see you next Thursday. In the meantime, God bless you and your families, and we'll see you next time. Let's see. And